Welcome back to Simple Mind Space, the podcast dedicated to helping you master your money and your mind. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that can significantly impact your relationships, career, and overall well-being: toxic habits. Now, everyone has their quirks, but certain behaviors can seriously undermine your reputation and damage the valuable connections you've built. Think of it this way. These aren't just harmless quirks. They're red flags that can make people lose respect for you. And we all know that respect, once lost, is incredibly hard to regain. We'll be exploring 4 specific habits that, if left unchecked, can have detrimental effects on your life. To make things more relatable, I'll be sharing some personal anecdotes, times I've stumbled, learned the hard way, and ultimately grown from those experiences. But this isn't just about pointing fingers. We'll draw wisdom from the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, which offers timeless advice on living a virtuous and fulfilling life. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or becoming an unfeeling robot. It's about cultivating inner peace, integrity, and resilience, qualities that naturally command respect. So are you ready to face these habits head-on and transform yourself into the most respectable version of yourself? Let's get started. Habit number 1. The gossiping trap. Let's be honest, gossiping is almost a universal pastime. It's tempting, often feeling harmless, even bonding. But the truth is far more insidious. Gossiping is a toxic habit that can erode trust and shatter relationships faster than you might realize. I'll admit, I used to be a world-class gossip. Back in college, it was almost a competitive sport among my friends. We'd dissect every detail of other people's lives, feeling a strange sense of camaraderie over these shared secrets. It seemed harmless, even fun at times, but I soon learned just how damaging this habit could be. There was this girl in our group. Let's call her Emily. She was a bit different, more introverted, and didn't always fit in with the crowd. One day, I overheard that she had a crush on a guy who, wasn't exactly known for reciprocating feelings. Instead of keeping that information to myself, I shared it with my friends. We laughed, we joked, and the story spread like wildfire. It wasn't long before Emily found out. The look on her face when she realized her private feelings had become the subject of our amusement was heartbreaking. The trust was broken. She slowly withdrew from the group, and eventually, our friendship faded away entirely. At the time, I tried to brush it off, but deep down, I knew I had crossed a line. This experience, though painful, was a wake-up call. The ancient Stoics, like Epictetus, emphasized focusing on our own character rather than meddling in the affairs of others. Keep silence for the most part, Epictetus advised, and speak only when you must, and then briefly. When you gossip, you're not only wasting precious time and energy, but also poisoning the well of trust. Think about it. If you're willing to gossip about someone else, what's stopping you from gossiping about those you call friends? This habit breeds suspicion and doubt, creating an environment where true connection struggles to survive. This lesson was further cemented during my first real job. I had a coworker, let's call him John, who was incredibly hardworking but kept to himself. One day, I overheard some gossip about John having a serious health issue. Instead of respecting his privacy, I thoughtlessly shared this information with a few colleagues, thinking it would make for an interesting conversation. Needless to say, John found out. He confronted me, not with anger, but with a look of deep disappointment that cut me to the core. He had confided in someone, trusting that his privacy would be respected, and I had betrayed that trust. Our working relationship was never the same. These experiences taught me that everyone has their battles, their vulnerabilities, their stories they hold close to their hearts. When you turn someone's personal life into fodder for gossip, you not only disrespect them, but also reveal a lack of integrity within yourself. The Stoics believed in uplifting and constructive dialogue. Instead of engaging in negativity, strive for conversations that build people up, offer support, and foster genuine connection. Remember, respect is a two-way street. If someone is comfortable gossiping to you, they're likely just as comfortable gossiping about you. Habit number 2, the crumbling foundation of unreliability. Let's talk about reliability, or rather, the lack thereof. This habit is a deal breaker in all aspects of life. Think about it. Would you trust someone who constantly breaks their promises, misses deadlines, or simply can't be counted on? Probably not. Reliability is the bedrock of any relationship, whether personal or professional. When you're unreliable, you send a clear message. Your word means nothing. And when your word means nothing, respect soon follows suit. I'll be the first to admit I struggled with this one, especially in my early 20s. Among my friends, I was notorious for being flaky. I'd make plans and then cancel at the last minute, or even worse, just not show up at all. I had this naive notion that it was no big deal, that life was just too busy and people would understand. However, one incident shattered that illusion. My close friend, Sarah, was throwing a birthday party. She had put her heart and soul into planning this event, meticulously organizing every detail. I, of course, promised to be there. But as the day of the party arrived, I got caught up in something else and bailed on her without a second thought. I didn't even have the decency to let her know until hours after the event. When I finally called, the disappointment in her voice was palpable. Our friendship, though not over, was never quite the same. That's when it hit me. Being unreliable isn't just about showing up physically, it's about showing up emotionally, about demonstrating that you value other people's time and effort as much as your own. When you commit to something, you're essentially putting your reputation on the line. Every time you flake out, you chip away at the trust others have placed in you. This pattern followed me into my professional life as well. Early in my career, I developed a bad habit of overcommitting and under-delivering. I'd enthusiastically take on projects and then scramble to meet deadlines, often missing them entirely, with a string of excuses at the ready. I thought my charm and quick wit would smooth things over, but my boss wasn't amused. During a performance review, she bluntly pointed out, "Your work is good when you actually do it, but your unreliability is a problem. People don't know if they can count on you." It was a harsh but necessary wake-up call. Reliability is about consistency and integrity. It's about following through on your commitments, big or small. So how do we break free from the shackles of unreliability? Start by being honest with yourself about your limitations. Don't overcommit if you know you can't deliver. If something unexpected arises and you can't fulfill a promise, communicate proactively. Don't leave people hanging. And most importantly, show that you value their time by being present, both physically and mentally. By becoming a reliable individual, you earn the respect and trust of those around you. It's a simple yet powerful way to strengthen your relationships and build a reputation as someone who can be counted on. Habit number 3, the disrespectful art of interruption. Interrupting others. This one's a silent relationship killer, often disguised as enthusiasm or eagerness. But let's call it what it is, a blatant sign of disrespect. When you constantly interrupt, you're essentially saying, "What I have to say is more important than what you're saying." This habit not only frustrates people, but also makes them feel unheard, unseen, and undervalued. I used to be a chronic interrupter. I genuinely believed it showed that I was engaged, that I had valuable insights to share. But in reality, it just showcased my lack of respect and basic conversational etiquette. One incident, in particular, opened my eyes to the damage I was causing. In one of my early jobs, I was part of a team that held weekly brainstorming sessions. I was eager to impress, so I'd constantly interject with my ideas, often cutting people off mid-sentence. I thought I was being proactive, a valuable contributor, but my colleagues saw it differently. During one particularly lively meeting, my manager paused the discussion and addressed me directly. "You need to let people finish their thoughts," she said, her tone firm but not unkind. "You're not listening. You're just waiting for your turn to speak." I was mortified, but it didn't end there. After the meeting, a colleague pulled me aside. "Do you even realize how dismissive you come across?" he asked. "It's like you think your ideas are the only ones that matter." His words stung, but they were a much-needed dose of reality. Interrupting others isn't just bad manners. It's a sign of poor self-control and lack of respect for those around you. The Stoics, like Seneca, emphasized the importance of being patient and considerate in conversations. He believed in listening with the intent to understand, not just waiting for your turn to respond. This lesson was further reinforced during a night out with friends. One friend was sharing a deeply personal story about his struggles with anxiety. Halfway through, thinking I was being empathetic, I jumped in with my own experience. To my surprise, his demeanor shifted. "Can I finish?" he asked, his voice tinged with frustration. It was a light bulb moment for me. I had completely hijacked his moment, making it about me instead of him. True listening, I realized, was about being present, giving others the space to express themselves fully without interruption or judgment. To break this habit, I started practicing active listening. When someone is speaking, give them your full attention. Don't just hear their words. Listen to their tone, their emotions, the unspoken messages beneath the surface. Remember, interrupting sends the message that your thoughts and opinions hold more weight than theirs. By practicing active listening, you demonstrate respect, build stronger connections, and create an environment where everyone feels valued and heard. Habit number 4, the negativity vortex of complaining. We've all been there, stuck in a conversation with someone who seems perpetually negative, a master of finding the cloud in every silver lining. Complaining, while sometimes cathartic in small doses, can quickly turn into a toxic habit that repels rather than attracts. It's one thing to vent occasionally about a frustrating situation, but constant complaining paints you as someone who's more focused on problems than solutions. A draining presence rather than an inspiring one. I used to be a card-carrying member of the complaint club. I believed that finding common ground over shared grievances was a way to bond with others. However, I soon discovered that my constant negativity was doing more harm than good. A few years ago, I worked at a job that I found incredibly frustrating. The workload was overwhelming, the management disorganized, and I felt undervalued. Instead of looking for solutions or ways to improve my situation, I complained. I complained to my coworkers, my friends, my family, anyone who would lend an ear. At first, people were sympathetic. They'd nod along, offer their own complaints, and we'd wallow in a shared sense of misery. But as time went on, I noticed a shift. People started avoiding me, conversations became shorter, and I was no longer invited to after-work gatherings. The final straw came when a close friend confronted me. "Look, I love you," she said, "but you're becoming really negative. It's exhausting to be around you." Her words stung, but they were the wake-up call I desperately needed. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. Complaining keeps you trapped in a cycle of negativity, affecting not only your mindset, but also how others perceive you. It's a sign that you're more interested in being a victim of your circumstances than an architect of your own happiness. Another experience that drove this home was during a group project in college. One of my teammates, let's call him Mike, was a relentless complainer. Every meeting was an opportunity for him to vent about the unfair workload, the incompetent professor, the overall pointlessness of the project. His negativity was contagious, and soon the entire team's morale plummeted. We were all so bogged down by his negativity that we stopped caring about the project, putting in minimal effort just to get it over with. Seeing this dynamic from the outside was eye-opening. It made me realize how my own complaining had likely affected those around me in similar ways. I decided to make a change. I started practicing gratitude, focusing on the good in my life, however small. Instead of complaining about my job, I identified specific issues and brainstormed solutions. I sought feedback on how I could improve my performance and even made a case for a raise. When management proved disorganized, I took the initiative to streamline processes within my control. It wasn't easy, and it didn't happen overnight, but the results were transformative. People noticed the shift in my attitude, relationships improved, and I started earning back the respect I had lost. I went from being the person people avoided to someone they genuinely enjoyed working with. The lesson here is simple yet profound. Complaining is a dead end. It keeps you stuck in a rut and pushes people away. Instead of dwelling on the negative, choose to focus on solutions, practice gratitude, and be a source of positivity in the world. You'll be amazed at the positive ripple effects it creates in your life and the lives of those around you. Key takeaways: cultivating respect through self-awareness. So there you have it. 4 toxic habits that can make people lose respect for you. Gossiping erodes trust and creates a toxic environment. Being unreliable chips away at your integrity and makes people question your word. Interrupting others sends the message that you value your voice above theirs. And complaining drags everyone down into a spiral of negativity. The good news is that habits, even deeply ingrained ones, can be changed. By becoming aware of these behaviors and understanding their impact, you can start making conscious choices to break free and become a more respectable, trustworthy, and ultimately happier version of yourself. Remember, self-improvement is a journey, not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and never underestimate the power of even the smallest positive changes. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Simple Mind Space. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who might benefit from this message. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic, and keep striving to live a life filled with respect and integrity.